WCBS FM 101.1.
Dan Ingram, proud to be with you every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4. We present 16 Candles, which is the reason that cake is melting in the rain.
And it took the mob from St. Louis to come in here and straighten everybody out. So they, ABC, right? Biggest station in the whole city, WABC, ABC Radio, ABC Television, the whole network, and they couldn't get anything going with all their big shot stars, celebrities, everybody they had, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. So they robbed St. Louis, and they went to the Anheuser-Busch company, I think, and pulled a couple of those disc jockeys on WIL over here. Yeah. And they put them on the air. And they made WABC a very popular radio station, one of whom was Dan Ingram. And then I think there were two other guys from St. Louis, weren't there, Dan?
No, nobody that mattered, really.
Oh, you're right. Why do I ask?
There was Herb Oscar in the morning, and let's see, who else? Bob Dayton.
Bob, yeah.
Bob was also out of St. Louis, and I'm trying to think of who else
another
it was.
Big guy from St. Louis.
Oh, a guy by the name of Ron Lundy,
I would say, yeah.
Who is now retired and is living in the life of a poltroon in a place called Bruce, Mississippi. He has got Terra redone. Yeah. And lives there with, he actually lets the townspeople come up on the front porch. He's a very liberal guy. And he's the sweetest man you'd ever want to know. Yeah.
So 3 out of 7 guys were from St. Louis.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's ever been discussed. I guess.
Well, we washed a lot, so it went away. I mean, you had to take 2 showers a day if you were from St. Louis.
Yeah, and you actually moved then to Connecticut, right, for this Mars production company?
I moved to Mars Broadcasting before I moved to New York.
I see.
I was between St. Louis and New York.
So radio stations needed to have some really sharp-sounding production, so they would call this Mars Production Company, which was Bob Whitney and Dan Ingram producing these little...
And Stan Kaplan and a few other very talented people, yeah.
And you had supplied these little promos, the promotions.
They were
trailers.
Contests, exactly. It was what we did first, 10 contests a month. And that's how I got to work at WABC, because I had access to the general manager, Hal Neal. And I would bring in these little contests, and he said, "This is garbage. Go recut it," that sort of thing. and I would, and I'd come back and talk to him. And finally, one day, I said, "You need a new afternoon guy. The guy you got on is not very good."
Yeah.
He said, "Who would be good?" I said, "Me." He said, "Get out of my state. Get out of here. Out." I said, "I just happen to have 2 air checks. Listen to these, please." And he called me back, and the next thing I knew, I was working there.
Now, what would one of these contests be?
Oh, supply the missing word in a lyric, or play a clip from a tune, that sort of thing.
Tunes
simple.
weren't sophisticated back then. So
nah, it was like...
Louie would not have too many missing lyrics.
No, all you had to do was write down 5 vowels, and that's
it. So you got the job. They put you on in the afternoon.
Got the job. They put me on from 3 until 7, and... the wonderful thing was that working at a network-owned station, the contract was set up by AFTRA, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. It was a network contract, and it was set up in 15-minute increments. And everybody made like $50 or $60 for a 15-minute show. And if you did 4 hours, 6 days a week, suddenly you were making $52,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
And that was scale. That was absolute minimum scale. And in those days, you could buy a Cadillac for $3,000.
Did you buy one?
I did.
In New York City? You live in Manhattan with a Cadillac?
Eldorado convertible Cadillac.
Where did you go with it?
To Oyster Bay, where I lived.
Oh.
So, back and forth. It's called commuting, if you remember that.
Yeah, but...
I don't do that anymore. I live in the city.
Yeah.
I don't commute.
Now, when you were on the radio, I think
I still am. I work at CBS FM. I mean, I'm not dead yet. I mean,
I don't mean it that way.
what is this big needle with formaldehyde you're sticking in my butt?
That's not formaldehyde. That's Imus's old heroin.
Oh, cold. You got a great streak of cold, I tell you.
All right, so you had this great career going, but the rest of the city didn't catch on yet.
It took 9 months.
Yeah.
9 months I went from number 12 to number 1.
Now, did it not take also the blackout?
No, the blackout was later.
But you were successful.
Long before the blackout.
All right.
Yeah, blackout was suddenly everything started to slow down because in those days the tape machines were hooked up to 60 cycle current.
Oh.
And when the current started going down, they started going down too. And then at 5:27 in the middle of a newscast, poof, and we're gone. That was it. They gave me an armload of LPs and said, get in the car, because the only place in New York City that had power was Lodi, New Jersey, where we had our transmitter.
Right.
So we were on the air. And I was on the air till 4:30 in the morning doing my first talk show. I invented talk radio and WABC. We had nothing else to do. We didn't have a turntable. I got an armload of records and no turntable. And I was broadcasting out of the transmitter shack.
Did you take any phone calls?
Yeah, but the phones were tied up because we were talking back and forth to the newsroom at the station. The phones were okay and we could put them on the air. So we had a bunch of reporters and people working with candlelight all that night long.
I was in an elevator with.
Ouch!
I was stuck between floors with you on the radio.
You had a radio in the elevator?
I was with.
Well, it's your own fault then.
This is true. I was with Al Gallico, the music publisher.
Oh, sure, I know.
Yeah. And Hugo Winterhalter, remember him?
Hugo Winterhalter. Remember how Stan Freberg used to pronounce it?
Yeah, it was
Hugo Winterhalter. He sounded like a Sly Stallone growing up. If you know what I mean.
So when you did this talk show, let's go to this for a minute, all right?
Okay.
Now, you were in Lodi, New Jersey. There's just you and an engineer, I suspect.
No, it was me and a guy named Tom Romano, who is a very good friend of mine, a brilliant newsman, and just a raconteur, a wonderful guy. He managed getting the news on the air from the station while I was doing the fill-ins, if you know what I mean. I was doing the bridge and he was doing the stuff, and then the station would fill in.
None of those jingles, though.
I don't think we played a jingle all night long.
So you talked. You sat there and talked.
Yeah, we did a talk show, really.
How did it feel?
It was nice to know when I was working and getting paid. You know, because I got a little overtime for that day.
What if I just got up now and walked out and left the mic on, and there's no engineer here or anything, and you just had to keep the station going because you're a professional person?
I'd speak. I'd say a lot of dirty words, and suddenly someone else would be on the air.
And the numbers...
and I'd go home.
Numbers would increase.
Well, I know about that.
Yeah. So if I walk out of here, then you could just do what you did during the blackout.
I could, but I don't think I will.
No,
we'll turn off the lights too.
The pay isn't as good right now. So I have this little thing about broadcasting. As long as there's money coming in the mailbox, it has an insouciance all its own. I love that.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a trick, you want a cookie.
Or if I want to do a cookie, I want at least a trick to go with it.
Now, we're going to take a break here, play some commercials.
Oh.
We'll come back.
I can drink some of this water then?
Yeah.
They said this was water, but it doesn't taste like water.
No. This is Sky Vodka.
All
right. So Dan Ingram is with us tonight, if you haven't figured it out.
I am?
Yeah.
Is that where I was? I just survived a dinner. Here I am, and now I'm on a radio station.
Hey, everybody.
I'm a guest. I'm not a host. I can't host.
Can we do impressions of you tonight?
Sure.
Have people call and do their impression of Dan Ingram?
Really? People would do that?
Has anyone ever done that?
Yeah, there was a guy who called himself Dan Ingram for a while. I sued him.
No. I mean, have you ever had people call in and do an impression of you?
Gee, no.
Well, why don't we try that for a little while? Let's see if that goes.
It's a pretty strange premise, but what the hell?
Anybody wanting to do their impression of Dan Ingram, we all have had years of him, so we all know what he sounds like, and we all know what the routine is. So
it should be pretty simple to do, I guess. Right?
1-800-321-0710. We'll see how simple it is to do. This is if it's real easy for you. Then you may have a gig at CBS FM when Dan's ready to leave his. Doesn't look like he's ready. 800-321-0710. We'll be right back on the Joey Reynolds Show.